Show's got to leave in an hour.
So do I, actually. Hey, we are live for another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. And this episode is going to be all about Napoli. We are having a Napoli roundtable, which, of course, we've got the fucking panel for that. And what I love about this Napoli roundtable is I don't have to hear 30 minutes on Ciro Immobile today from Jerry. Like Jerry, are you going to be able to focus on Napoli today? I mean, I've got to keep my mouth shut about Inzaghi ball and Suning and the new Inter shirts, which look glorious. You've got to keep your mouth shut about Sarri and Immobile today. Are you going to be able to contain yourself, Jerry?
You forgot that Ciro Immobile is from Napoli, so you have to
Ooh, there is a tie-in.
There's a tie-in. There's always a tie with Ciro Immobile. Ciro Immobile is in all of us, okay? Let's just get this. There's a little Ciro in everyone, okay?
Wow.
Right
Alex, if you thought you'd get a show without a Ciro Immobile mention from Jerry, you shouldn't be hosting the show.
Let's start this show with the bang.
You should, of all people, should know that he's gonna find a way to get Immobile into this show at some point. It's not over.
I know I won't be able to get a chance by the end of the show, so let's just say it right now. Ciro Immobile right now is with Lorenzo Insigne on a beach, and they're discussing Insigne's future with Lazio.
Or are they discussing Immobile's future with Napoli?
That's more like it, right?
Immobile's line is still locked up until 2025, I believe. He's not going anywhere.
Bro,
whereas
it's called a transfer, bro. You can still go to another team when under contract.
It's like freaking two testaduras going against each other. No, one's not going to agree with the other. So the only way this is going to be settled is going by a free transfer of Insigne. That's the only way Claudio Lotito does business at Lazio, because unless we somehow sign another Vedat Marici for $20 million, but I can be going all day.
Even if Lazio signed Insigne, I still think Immobile is going to struggle to score on a 4-3-3.
Boom! He's close.
Oh, fuck me.
Got him.
Oh, fuck me.
Let's introduce everybody on the panel. We're bringing back our good friend Manny Chang, and I think Manny is going to get ripped a little bit on this episode. He has been a Napoli supporter officially for 3 weeks, and he is surrounded by lifers on this one. So, Manny, you have a lifetime.
Welcome to the family.
You have at least 3 weeks of memories in you on Napoli ball. I think he's actually been watching the preseason friendlies, or have you? I don't know if he's been able to stream those, on the deep web or something. But how you doing, Manny?
Good, man. I watched actually last week's game where I thought it was a football game. It was 14-0. 2 touchdowns. And then I was told by a Juventus fan it was against the Farmers. So that really didn't help me analyze anything. I missed the game though yesterday because I was on Vice City duties. I'm part of the supporters group for Inter Miami. So wasn't able to catch the 1-0 win, I believe so. But of course, injuries are all of a sudden a part of the game, right? Like the regular season's not even here. It's going to be interesting because I did bring this up, guys, for the panel that's here last week, that my main concern was to see Napoli start off good, because you see that in the believe heading towards maybe a month or 2 months in, you play all these top teams basically in a span of 5 to 6 weeks. And I feel like with the schedule that came out, if they can somehow start fast and just get as many points as they can, because I think it's Juventus. They play Juventus. They play Atalanta. They play like 2 other teams in a span of 5-6 weeks, and that to me, I was like, damn, like they need to start off at least getting as many points as they can. Obviously, to what I've learned and being a Napoli fan for 3 weeks, especially all these Napoli pages are now following me on Instagram. I think it's wonderful and great.
Nice.
It feels like they're still stinging to that 1 point off, not being able to make it to the Champions League. Of course, that's the main goal, no matter what. I think when it comes to Italy, unless you're Juventus, because their goal is to win it, but they suck. That pain of still irks there, and I feel like that has to be the goal with this club going forward. Not saying that no other club deserves it, but when you're 1 point away and you bring in a manager that I feel like Spalletti, he has so many things that he can do on the pitch and just switching and being able to relate to players, something that I think that Gattuso just absolutely is shit at. I think should help, right? And I guess, another striker would help. And as Joe mentioned before, we need a left back. So we'll see. Listen, I don't know really what the management is at Napoli. As far as I've seen, they're very dormant. Hasn't really been. The only news that I can probably say was, Insigne has moves to Tottenham or Man City. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. Like that's just noise. Like we all know what the outlets are for. It's to create that talk of conversation. But no, man, I think the season can get here soon enough, and we'll see what plans with this new manager and his squad can do.
It's always one of the funniest and most aggravating parts of being a Serie A fan is anytime you have a player who does reasonably well, then you get 100 links to Premier League clubs, and then you have 1,000 tweets from their fans because Premier League fans are so brain dead. They think anytime some British tabloid posts about their club being linked to a player, oh, mate, it must be 100% true. And they believe every single thing they read. So that's the roller coaster of being a Serie A fan. Let's bring in the rest of our all-star panel. We have a couple of first-timers and a couple of veterans joining us. Let's introduce the rookies first. Vincenzo, who's up in Canada. We also have a nice split, I think, of Canadians and Americans. I mean, we are there are no borders here on this program. Vincenzo, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. It's a great honor to be here amongst such esteemed company. So thanks very much for having me. And, we're connected in many ways because we're all Napoli fans and we're all Calcio fans. So we could be on other ends of the earth, but we're all family.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So our other first timer, it's about time we got on another Raf, right? Because Rafa Rispo has joined us many times, but let's introduce Raf Biz first. New Yorker, right. Raf, how you doing, sir?
How you doing? I am well, sir. I am well. Thank you for having me here, guys. Super excited today, man. Super excited.
Oh, man. And the other half of Raf and Raf returning. He's been on with us at least 2 previous times. This might even be number 4 for him. Rafa Rispo is with us. Rafa Napoli, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing really good. Just like our friend Manny, our new friend Manny said, the season can't get started any sooner. It's funny. Raf and I were at the final. We went to Manhattan to Ribalta to watch the game together. And we met a listener of our show and a big member of the Napoli Twitter community, Francesco Valenti there, and he said to me in private a couple days ago, once we lifted that cup, his mind was on Napoli, and I think that's the sentiment of a lot of people. Great, we won the European Cup, which was amazing and fantastic and beautiful. Now let's get Serie A going because, a month without it, thank God for the Olympics. Thank God for other tournaments and stuff like that, just to be able to, to inject some calcio into our veins. But we need the real deal. We need Serie A back soon. So definitely looking forward to it.
Amen to that. And it was a really weird feeling because, the Euros lasted a month. And for that entire month, Jerry and I were doing 1 or 2 episodes per week. And, during the Euros, we would bring on people who were, Juventini and Milanisti and Romanisti, and we were all getting along, right? And then the first episode that we did after the Euro was over, it's like, wait, now we all want to kill each other again. Right? Yeah. So it's funny how that works. And let's bring on now, he was one of the first guests to ever join this program. He was either the first or second guest we ever had on, Joe Fischetti, from the Forza Napoli pod. Of course, Joe and Jerry go way back, like to the time that these guys were both in diapers, and Joe has become a friend of mine as well. So it's great to have you back, sir. How are you?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be joining you guys. Fantastic panel. Looking forward to the discussion tonight. Manny, welcome to the Napoli family. I don't care if you joined 5 minutes ago or 15 years ago. You're still a Napoli fan. You're one of us. But I need you to do one thing for us. Starting tonight, no more you guys and they. From now on, it's we.
Oh, how about that?
I like that, Joe.
Our pronoun is we.
Yeah.
The grammar police, yes.
And Manny, what was it that I told you about a month ago when you were talking about shopping for a Serie A team? I think I told you anybody but Juventus and we could still be friends.
Correct. But I learned real quick because of this man who was on top of me. The very next day when the Euros occurred, we talked Euros final, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, fucking hate all you guys again. I don't give a shit. I'm like, damn, that's how it is in Serie A. Let's get to you can come over to my house for a month after that. It's like, bro, I don't talk to you. It's weak. I don't talk to you. Like all this other shit happening. So I thought that was pretty. It was wow. It was like, damn, it's definitely a different type of culture when it comes to, because I watch a lot of La Liga because of Real Madrid per se, right? And so obviously, even when Spain is together, you trust me, I don't like Barcelona. I don't like Atletico. I don't give a shit if that guy scored the game-winning goal. I can't really stand that. But to see the continuity and the way that Italians are when it comes to their football, especially with the national team, to me, it's just, it reminds me a lot of a host country in South America, and where Neymar with Santos and Palmeiras and stuff, they just hate each other. But when Brazil plays, it's like the whole country just watches. I think Brazil and Italy do such a great job of making sure that no matter what hatred there is between the clubs, when it's national, it's national. But when it's over, I don't know you anymore. So here we go.
Like Madrid?
If I can interject for a second, it's funny because I did see a video somewhere. It might have been an Instagram reel or something like that, where there was an Arsenal guy who was interviewing some fans outside of Wembley, and he asked for one of the games. I don't think it was the final, but for one of the games, saying, Harry Kane, if he scores, will you cheer? To this one fan, an older guy, and the older guy says, no, absolutely not. I will not cheer. So later on in the tournament, they show the semifinal, his reaction to Harry Kane's goal to get them to 2-1 in extra time. And, his English fan family all around him cheering, going crazy ballistic because they're about to go to the final. And this dude is sitting there like this. And I'm like, how could you possibly call yourself an England fan if you're not, if that doesn't get you going? Like, you had me crying at Bonucci and Chiellini.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to love them when they put on La Maglia Azzurra, but when, they take it off and put the Bianconera on, now you can hate them again. You know what I'm saying?
It's okay. Hate them again.
Exactly. It's okay to be like, you know what? You represent this. You're with me for life.
Correct.
But when you represent the black and white, you're dead to me. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't understand how just because he's a Tottenham player or is going to leave or what have you, you don't support your nation because of that. Come on. That's ridiculous. That's a little too much for me. Like I'm club and I'm country, but that's too much for me.
Yeah, man, you're so dead on with that. It's like, obviously, dude, I talk a lot of shit, and it's mostly all in fun about Juventus. But, dude, like, when I watch Chiellini play with the Italy shirt, it's like I say, man, this is obviously the type of guy you hate him when he's not on your team at the club level, but when he's fighting for you and with you at the national team level, it's like, dude, I can get behind this guy. Same thing even with Bonucci. And it's like, Jerry, it's one of the things I know that drives you especially crazy, and it drives me crazy as well. And for the most part, I think Azzurri fans are much better with this, what Raf was talking about, in uniting behind, the blue shirt and the colors. But yeah, there are still going to be people, taking pot shots at Immobile and like rooting for that guy to fail when he has the Italy shirt. It's like, bro, like when he puts on that Azzurri Italy shirt, I want the guy to score 15 goals every tournament. I don't know why people waste their breath being so divisive with the banter. It's definitely a minority. I don't think it happens as much with Italian fans as a lot of others like English fans, but it definitely does happen.
If Ronaldo ever wore an Italy jersey, I think I'd be like how everybody is with Immobile and just tell him to go fuck himself.
That's where you draw the line, eh?
No, I seriously wouldn't never support Ronaldo in an Italian jersey. I think I would go pro just because he doesn't play for Lazio, and I can see where then I can be on the opposite fence. I can just see it. That's why I'm being honest.
You cannot say that. What if Ronaldo? Hold on. What if
Ronaldo was Fabio Grosso?
What if Ronaldo was Fabio Grosso? All right, you can't say that, man. You can't.
I just can't. I can't stand Ronaldo for some reason.
First off, but I have to root for the guy every fucking time he plays.
First off, I'm a Barcelona fan. I'm a Barcelona fan because of Messi, until Messi retires, I won't give a shit about Barcelona ever again. I hope Madrid fucking rots.
You're not really a Barcelona fan. You're a Messi fan.
I hate Madrid because Ronaldo days. Fuck him. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
So that was actually my 10-year-old son who asked on his mom's profile. That's on his mom's profile. It asked if Ronaldo played for Italy. Kid is asking me all the time these hypotheticals, and I'm like, Rocco, that's never gonna happen, dude. It's never gonna happen. It's a hypothetical. It's fun to say, oh, what if? So like somebody asked me, what if Ronaldo ever played for Napoli? Never gonna happen. I mean, it's more likely he plays for Napoli than yeah, exactly. We go bankrupt again. Never gonna happen. So let's not talk about it. Yeah, Rocco loves to start arguments.
I like Rocco already. He's part of the family now.
Never mind Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not getting more love on this show. Okay, that's enough for Ronaldo because Ronaldo has no part with Napoli. Will never have part with Napoli or Lazio unless we beat him. So other than that, Jerry is having Juve fits. Juve sucks, okay? Screw Juve. This team makes me laugh because this team was able to buy a Locatelli with like that. Like you just snap your fingers and they got Locatelli. Freaking 2 years later in the pandemic, and all of a sudden we see Juventus like the mid-table team struggling to buy a player, which is great to see. I'm gonna be honest. I love it because I'm tired of seeing Juventus being able to buy anybody at will, but other than that, guys, let's talk about Napoli. I'm segueing this back into Napoli because I got what? 1, 2, 3, 4 Napoli fans and one who is a amateur. Don't
talk about me like that, Jerry. All right?
I'm curious to know how Manny became a Napoli fan. That's what I would like to know.
Oh boy, Alex, you want to start that one?
No.
How can I tell your story better than you, dude? I give you so much open real estate. I just said anybody but Juventus. That gave you 19 teams to choose from. I think I also discouraged you a little bit away from Milan, or at least I tried to.
No, I could have made me think about
Manny. It was either a pizza or a beautiful girl. That's how you chose Napoli. I know.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and roll with that every time I actually get asked the question.
They had a good pizza and a beautiful waitress. You know, that's it. That's all I gotta say.
So
that's all it takes.
Never mind his life story and his love story with Napoli that has started with macaroni and cheese on a Saturday night. But I'm gonna ask the first question, because I need to make sure that I'm the guy actually finally not Alex is normally the guy who segues into this. I don't know how he hasn't segued in the past 10 minutes.
I'm happy to have a break.
Okay. And it's the obvious often question. Does Insigne leave Napoli next summer or does he stay? And I'd love to hear all your takes. And Alex, who should we start? I'm going to start with Rafa Biz.
All right,
my man, Rafa Biz. I'm trying to learn how to but get these Alex Donno vibes that he does so well with, and
he's trying to take my job. I'm going to try and log into the Twitter and the email tomorrow. The passwords are going to be all changed.
Gotta watch this guy.
I'd like to hear all your takes. I really want to make this more focused to Napoli right now because I have the Napoli group here. So take it away, Biz.
The Brady Bunch of Napoli. So your question was, does he stay next summer or does he stay this season? Or
do you think he'll extend his contract with Napoli?
Yes, that's my short answer. I think he will. For $40 million, I don't know. For the 5.5 that he's asking for, I'm not sure, but I think he will extend his contract at least for another couple more years. I've seen articles similar to what we see now back in 2017. I mean, the exact same stuff, the same numbers, the same. It's Tottenham. He wants 4 or 5, but AD only wants to give him 3.5. It's the same BS story all the time. I think what ADL said, he was like, he went on vacation. When he gets back, we'll talk. Rightly so. The guy played for a year and a half straight, or a season and a half straight, with no break, then goes to the Euros, and he's just having a little downtime. I think, where did he go, to Spain or something? Mm-hmm. I think he went to Spain with him all. He's on his jet ski, chilling, having some sangria or whatever. He's chilling. Let him think it through. Let him come back. I don't think he wants to leave. I don't think he'll go to England. He's definitely not coming to Lazio. I don't think he goes for any other Italian team, and I don't think he goes for England. He's a Napoli Don. If he goes anywhere, the guy's going to probably be in Barcelona on the beach in Spain somewhere. That's what I think. Worst case scenario. But I think he comes back. And I think ADL's posturing a little bit. I think, Joe, you had mentioned that once, too, when we were talking back and forth. And, hey, baby, how are you? Is that the daughter? I just want to say, hey, baby. He's like, who is this guy?
She doesn't look too happy. She's not too happy.
He's trying to pull me away.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? But yeah, so, yes, I think he resigns. I think he comes back.
How about you, Joe? You want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, I think he's staying as well. I'll give you my theory, which I've talked about on my podcast as well. I think they're going to give him a long-term extension, say 5 years to get him to retirement, and they'll give him the raise for the first couple of years. So right now he's making about $4.5 million. Let's say they increase him to $5.5 million for 2 seasons. So he gets the raise over 2 seasons, which, let's be honest, if he were to leave Napoli and sign with a club like Tottenham, how many years are they really going to give him? 2, 3, maybe, because he's 30 already, right?
Yeah. Right.
But with, if De Laurentiis gives him 5.5 for the first 2 years, then starts declining his, lowering his salary over the next 3 years. Say he gives him $3 million when he's 33, $2 million when he's 34, $1 million when he's 35, and I did this math already, so I happen to know it, but that adds up to $17 million guaranteed over 5 years. But the club will pay him an average over the 5 years. So instead of paying him 5.5, 3, 2, 1, they just pay him $3.4 million each year. So that for the club is effectively a decrease in salary for the remaining year on his contract. So I can see that being a type of solution that makes everybody happy. De Laurentiis lowers his salary for the remaining year by $1 million. Hopefully after that year, fans are back in stadiums. Hopefully we're in the Champions League. We have that revenue back, and now we have more money that we can give him over the remaining 4 years of that extension. And then he retires happy. His father-in-law the other day said that he only wants Napoli. So, which costs Insigne a bit of leverage, I think. But I think that's where it'll end up. I think he'll stay.
How about you, Vincenzo from Toronto?
Toronto, yes, that's me. I'm going to jump off Joe's point there, and I agree with the contract. I think it'll be a similar contract to what Messi got at Barcelona, where, like Joe's saying, they spread it out. But I think that the real issue that's happening right now is Insigne is at a tactical disadvantage when it comes to negotiation, right? Definitely. When you're negotiating, but the person wants to stay, right? It's like if you're on the beach in Mexico, if the guy knows you're dying to get that necklace, he's not going to budge. So ADL's playing that game. He knows Insigne doesn't really want to leave. So he's got the upper hand when it comes to this. So Insigne's trying to play coy. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, maybe he's going to leave. But if you look around at all the leagues and all the major teams, I don't see even where he fits. He wouldn't go elsewhere in Italy for sure. And I don't think England would be a good fit for him, even just from a lifestyle point of view. So, yeah, if one of the big teams in Spain, like a Real Madrid or Barcelona, were really going in for him, then maybe he thinks about it. But I don't think that's the case. And, I mean, Barcelona right now, they brought in Depay. They brought in Aguero. They still have Messi. They still have Griezmann. They have Dembele. I mean, Insigne is not going to go there and try and compete with that attack. Not that I'm saying he maybe doesn't deserve to get in, but it doesn't make sense for he's right about to enter his prime years. This is his last contract where he'll be in his prime. Over the next 2 or 3 years, that'll be the end of his prime, according to the career span of most players. So I think that's what's happening. And in the end, I hope there's that reconciliation. They come together, they sit down, have an espresso, have a grappa, sign the deal, and we get to enjoy our captain until he retires, as it should be.
How about Rafa? Rafa, what do you think from New York Mets here?
Well, it's like DeGrom. He's never going to leave the Mets either.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
No, listen, honestly, I'm going to go a different route and not saying that he's going to leave, because he's not. But when you have like a goal set in your heart, you know what I mean? And it's the club you grew up supporting. the club that the city that you live in, he's a Skunitz himself. You know what I mean? He's got a Napoli tattoo on his elbow. He's got a Maradona on his calf. This guy lives, breathes, eats, sleeps Napoli, calcio. And I don't know if he's going to – I think if Napoli had won a Scudetto or two, maybe won something in Europe, maybe he considers a move elsewhere, not in Italy, but elsewhere. I just don't think it happens, man. I like we could talk the figures, and we could talk the past, and we could talk to this and to that and the contracts. I don't see him in another shirt. He's always said that he wants to be a bandiera like Totti was for Roma. He always, and aside from one season on loan with Pescara, this guy's been a Napoli player. He was even on Napoli's payroll then. I just don't see it happening. Let's, we put the tactics elsewhere, and we put the money here, and the this and the that. Like Ralph said, he just got finished playing the Euro. I really don't feel like, aside from a number of people, like a small number of people, no one's really negotiating deals if they're really serious about winning a European Cup or a World Cup in a World Cup year. You're laser focused on the national team, and then you take a break, and then you get to your contract. I feel like he knows he's going to sign. It's just a matter of when. And all this talk about him leaving is just because his contract is up next year. You know what I mean? It's just basically stuff to print. And I don't believe any of the newspapers anymore. I don't believe any of the newspapers anymore until it happens. I just don't see it happening at all. Not inside, you know what I mean? Like it's a hunch that I have. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're not wrong. The newspaper business is dying. It's dying. What was a slow death is turning into a very quick death. And the way that they're trying to survive is you just have to generate clicks. And it's like, I've never worked in that side of the media, but I understand how it works. I know plenty of people who do, and I can say this. They'd probably be afraid to say this because they work in that part of the industry. But, dude, it's all about search engine optimization. Mm-hmm. It is all about, getting people to read your clickbait. And sometimes if you have to hide legitimate journalism behind clickbaity headlines, it's whatever you have to do to get people to click on the story. But yeah, man, a lot of these, like transfer reporting in football, anybody who really follows it understands. Unless you have 5 brain cells to rub together, you get it that if your club is linked to a player, that there's probably really only a 5% chance, sometimes a 1% chance that player is actually coming to you. Unless the links come over and over and over again. So it is what it is. I wanted to. Rafa, I'll stick with you there, and then we'll get in the other.
Hey, I just want to piggyback on Insigne. Sure. I like to do the banter that Insigne is coming to Lazio, but in all fairness, no, seriously, in all seriousness, if Insigne was to make $5 million at Lazio, okay, do you know what that means? Alberto has to make $5 million. Savage needs to make $5 million. Yeah. Immobile has to make $5 million. And it's never going to happen. In order for Insigne to ever join Lazio, if he ever thought about it, I don't think he would. The only way he would think about it is only thinking of playing with Immobile. That's the only leverage that Lazio will ever have, and that's just a glimmer of hope. He would have to accept $3.5 million. Why would he accept less with Lazio? It's just not happening, man. Like you accept less to go to a better team, if anything. Like maybe that scenario where you go to Barcelona for $3.5 million and you can win trophies or something. But I agree with you guys. I don't see him ever leaving Napoli. But again, who knows what can happen next summer? Who knows what the direction of the team goes? And go ahead, Alex. What question were you going to ask next?
Well, and real quick, let me add to that. If Insigne, while he's still in his prime, which he is, if he were to leave Napoli now, I think he would regret it for the rest of his life. Like 2-3 years down the road, if you're in the twilight of your career, you want to try something different. I think that's a different situation. We see that happen in football from time to time. But when you're still in your prime and you're wearing the armband and you're from that city, you identify with that club, I think if he actually were to leave, I think he would regret it for the rest of his life. So I don't see
similar situation with Immobile. If Immobile ever left Lazio, he's fucked for life. I honestly, he has to just park it at Lazio and that's it. Like that, they're both in a similar situation where they can't leave their respective clubs because it's built around them. That's what it is. Like Sarri's gonna build that team primarily on Immobile, making sure that it doesn't affect him because he's his lead guy up front. And I think he's gonna try to adjust it maybe in order to help him. And it goes same with Insigne. He leaves. He's no longer in his comfort zone, and that doesn't matter what manager has ever gone into Napoli. They've always kind of like built around him because they know he's the lead guy, and if it doesn't work around him, there's a lot of falling pieces in Napoli. Back to Lazio, if it doesn't work around Immobile, it doesn't work either. It's it's evident. It's maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. But admitting publicly that Lazio is not a better team than Napoli has been worth the price of admission. I never said that.
I'm answering my one point here. I don't think that Spalletti would have agreed to come here if I don't think Insigne was probably one of the major pieces. Again, I don't know much about the club per se.
But you're right. I think you're right.
Just putting on my soccer hat that I've been a fan for 33 years. I don't see where you just won the Euros. He was a major piece for this national team, man. It would be heartbreaking. And even I'm feeling the hurt if that even happens. If he ends up going expecting something else. The man is on vacation. We've seen pictures with him and his wife or his girlfriend or whatnot. The media is doing what they do best. The Euros ended. What can we talk about? What can we all listen?
They know what triggers us. They know what triggers us.
But last week, I even brought it on the show. I'm seeing tabloids of Tottenham transfers. I'm thinking to myself, no way that would even happen. And I think Joe is spot on. The pressure that he'd have to go to a place like Tottenham, the max time they'd give him to succeed is 2-3 years, man. And no offense, I think players built like Messi and Insigne, for that type of play, I don't think it benefits to me personally, unless you have the speed of a girl when you're young as hell, and then, you know what I'm saying, you're just lighting, and you have all these guys that can help you, like basically around you. But going back to my main point, I don't think Spalletti would have accepted this if Insigne was not a major piece going forward. And listen, I don't know much about Napoli's football culture and whatnot, but all I know is with what I've learned and the fans that I've met and talked to and whatnot, Insigne is somebody they feel it's so close to their heart, right? It's like that specific player that is like Totti per se at Roma. If he would have gone somewhere else, no matter what would have been his, in the beginning of his career, middle or end, it just doesn't feel the same. You watch a game with somebody else, another jersey on, it just gets you thinking, why in the heck didn't management do whatever they could to make sure he wouldn't leave? And that's what I feel like it's here. I don't see any riffraff with the owners. I don't see any riffraff with anybody. It's just a hard ball game. And that's what football has come down to in the year 2021. It's, can I get a little more of this? What are you going to say? You're not going to say anything? Well, maybe I can give you this. And it's that game going back and forth. So back to what I said. I don't think Spalletti would be here if Insigne was not in the future plans of this club.
By the way, so I want to go, and I do want to get more into Spalletti. That'll be a big topic. Before we get to that, I want to go around the room. And by the way, huge thanks to Joe Fischetti. He had to step away and help his daughter out, which obviously totally understood. So we'll go around the room on this one. And this came in from Rocco, who I'm enjoying his contributions in the chat. So let me start with Rocco Baseball on this one. First question from a fan. We were talking about Insigne, who I don't think is leaving. None of us think he's leaving, but what about Koulibaly? Will Koulibaly leave? And this is a player, like, I've just found it interesting from afar because it seems like every summer transfer window he's linked to 100 moves away. So, I mean, Rafa, what do you think happens with Koulibaly?
Well, listen, Rocco, I've told you this a million times. Koulibaly's not going to go anywhere, especially not right away. I don't think he's – First of all, so Rocco is convinced that Koulibaly is going to get a contract somewhere. And I don't totally disagree, but I do think that he stays at least one more season. I'm not sure when his contract ends. Joe probably could have answered that better. I could look it up quick, but he didn't. He I think 2 more years. I feel like Spalletti. I mean, he said it himself. He'd rather chain himself to something and in order to keep him. He
wanted to chain himself to Koulibaly to keep him.
No, is that what he said to Koulibaly? He said
he would chain himself.
I will chain myself in order to keep Koulibaly on the squad. And the fact that Koulibaly is there and practicing and looking good and feeling great, I don't think this team gets rid of him, especially not this season.
Next summer.
Maybe next summer, but
Yeah,
let's not
next
forget.
summer.
But let's not forget.
It's
So
the 23.
23. So-
June 30th, 2023.
23. So that there'll be one more year on his contract after this season, right?
After
So that's
that,
a good
who
time.
knows?
That's a good time to sell, but at the same time, you'll never get Koulibaly money at the age of 31. Koulibaly money was 3 years ago. Let's just keep it real. The 90 million price tag, that was 3 years ago. It's not now. It can't be. But will he cash out? I mean, listen, and I'm going to go back to Insigne really fast. When Manny was speaking, I thought of something. It's not against ADL's policy to sell your captain out of nowhere. I mean, he sold Hamsik and he sold Cannavaro, the last two captains, and Cannavaro's Neapolitan. Now, was there a row? There was a little row between Cannavaro and ADL. Hamsik was a myth. Honestly, I never saw it coming, to be honest with you. Insigne won't leave because he doesn't want to leave. Will ADL sell him? That's another story. I doubt it, but I also doubt it for Koulibaly. I really feel like Koulibaly and Manolas are the center back duo for this club. And it's also what Koulibaly wants. Koulibaly's family is settled in Naples. They're extremely happy there. You know what I mean? And if he's willing to, maybe take a pay cut for his next contract, I don't see why we have to sell him at all.
Which I think he publicly agreed with, Rafa, right? He said, I will do what it takes to stay on this team, even if it meant to be sold. He said, if it helps Napoli, those were his words,
right? You
could sell me. But he wanted to work with ADL to stay a little longer. And
fucking Samurai Radio, for fuck's sakes.
This fucking German fan, man.
Fuck's sake.
Their buddy Kai. He's Bayern diehard. He will pop in here just to trash talk Cheeto and Lazio.
Hey, Rafa.
Hilarious.
So you said he was worth 90 million 3 years ago. I look at it like this then. You guys got a player of 30 million value every season of the way he played.
Yeah.
Except maybe for one since he's joined, he's only had one bad season.
Listen,
guys.
he had
anything.
one bad season. He had one bad season. It was the summer he came back from the African Cup of Nations, okay, which was weirdly played in the summer. Usually it's in the winter.
And it was played late in the summer. It was played right
late in the summer.
The Serie A season.
What do you want?
Put it this way. The Napoli Tour USA ended 2 weeks before the Serie A started. I remember that because I was there. Asking the questions to Ancelotti and Insigne. I asked Ancelotti, what about Koulibaly? How's he going to be? How's he going to be fit? Is he going to be fit? I don't remember if it was me asking or Ken or Marco asked. But he said, don't worry, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But he missed that tour. And once again, that Barcelona series was the last friendly before that season started. So Koulibaly came into the first match against Juventus, right? No, off of being at the African Cup of Nations, which they went to the final, mind you, they went to the final of, and with no training with his new center back, Manolas. He had a new center back, new keepers. I don't fault him for having a bad start to that season, and then the whole team capitulated. And it wasn't until Gattuso came in where Koulibaly was looking better like himself. He got Lozano back in shape. He got Insigne playing the best football of his career. He got Fabian playing even better. He got, Zielinski's a world-class midfielder now. Even Ospina and Meret were doing better. If you ask me, Koulibaly, because of that one season, is being marred because of that one season. Also, everyone's talking about his age. I'm sorry, but how old is Chiellini? How old was Maldini when he retired? Give me a break.
How old is Ibrahimovic?
Exactly.
He's not a
but I'm talking about defenders.
But sorry, I got you.
You can play, but you're right, though. You're right. Everybody thought Ibrahimovic should come in and stink up the joint. He killed it with Milan for real. But Koulibaly's in a class, on another class than those players, I feel. I mean, except for obviously Maldini's the best of all time, in my opinion. Yeah. But Koulibaly could be there. He could be there. Is he going to get there with Napoli? Maybe not. But at the same time, every player has different aspirations, and Koulibaly is one that wants to win with Napoli. And He's happy there. His kids are happy there. His wife's happy there. He's happy there. Him, Mertens, Insigne, Osimhen's going to be happy too. It's just the way it is, because he's running with those guys. And I don't know. I feel like everybody undervalues Koulibaly because he's old. Give me a break. He's old. The best defenders in the world.
Who undervalues Koulibaly? I want to know.
A lot of Premier League fans, a lot of people who just don't understand. Who thinks who thinks that Stones is a better defender or Maguire is a better defender than Koulibaly.
Who undervalues that guy? You're nuts. Stop room. Manny, listen. You're new. I know you're new. Don't.
Yeah, but even I know that if you involve John Stones in any conversation for the best center back, get the hell out of here with that shit, bro. Even I know not to believe in that nonsense. He sucked at Everton, and people just wanted him to be the best because they wanted an Englishman there. They wanted a guy that was going to be their future coming up, per se. I'm like, dude, like Stones is okay.
No, who's the dude on City who went there for like 70 or 80 million? Was it Walker?
Kyle Walker?
Was it Kyle Walker on City? Is that City? No, that's Tottenham. Is it City?
Kyle Walker came from Tottenham
to City.
Yes.
Yeah.
For like 80 mil.
Yes.
This fucking Kyle Walker can sell for 80 mil. Koulibaly deserves to go for 110. Now, current Koulibaly. But no one's really gonna pay that. So
65 million, by the way, I believe was the last report of ADL's hard price. He's like, you want him? 65 mil, I think, was the last number I heard. So,
and that's what I love about him is that he doesn't back down, man. And everybody hates that, but he doesn't back down. It's like, he's a lot like Lotito. And when we took, because I hear Jerry talk about Lotito all the time. He's a lot like that. Where, dude, this is the value of my player. You want to buy him? Good. You don't? I don't care. I'll keep him. You know what I mean?
So I don't know how much there really is to add from to what Rafa just said about Koulibaly, but Vincenzo, I mean, what do you think his future is like?
I have a few points. Well, first of all, to Rafa's point, I mean, when you're talking about world-class center backs being able to keep up their level later into their career, look at Thiago Silva winning the Champions League this year. Look at PSG signing Sergio Ramos right now, right? And he's going to be starting. So, I mean, Chiellini, it's been proven time and time again, as long as physically they're okay, these world-class center backs, they can adapt, they have the knowledge. And I mean, Koulibaly has so many natural physical gifts as well, on top of his reading of the game, that even Koulibaly at 60% has more physical stamina than a lot of defenders naturally, even in their prime. Also, I think Koulibaly, he's not a Napolitan, but he's an adopted Napolitan. And I don't think he's someone who, you have to look at his past behavior. Just the fact even that he chose Senegal over France, shows you that he's someone who he's a different type of man who values something, not just glory and money, but also, where his heart lies. And he has a lot of values that I think are missing in the modern footballers today. As a man, forget about as a footballer. And ever since that moment that he was racially abused, and all of the Napoli fans had the "Siamo tutti Koulibaly," I mean, that may be misinterpreted, wearing the face in the States, but in Italy it doesn't have that connotation, and it was moving. I mean, I was in tears watching that, and I think Koulibaly at that moment, it was cemented that he was never gonna want to leave at that point. Sure. Now, because we've missed out on Champions League for 2 years in a row, unfortunately, if a $65 million euro offer does come in, ADL may be tempted to sit with Koulibaly and say, this is what's best for the club right now. And at that point, maybe he considers it. But unless that happens, which I don't think is that likely if you look at the landscape of the teams who would afford the Koulibaly and also afford the wages they'd have to put him on to get him, is he more likely to leave than Insigne? Yeah, he is. But I think it would take a real offer, and I don't think he would ever push for it. It would have to be coming from ADL in an offer. That's pretty much all I have to add.
Raf Biz, your take on Koulibaly's long-term future?
I mean, I think he'll at the very least finish out his contract. I mean, if anybody has followed Napoli news, they've been trying to sell Koulibaly every year since this guy got on. First of all, he's been a great value. We bought him for what, $7 million? So it doesn't matter what we get for him. We're making money. And not only are we making money, we've had a leader. We have had somebody who's part of the spine of this team. Let's keep it real. When Koulibaly got injured last season, everybody's like, oh, man, oh, shit, I was doing my prayers and, I was sweating bullets. That's a guy that you want on the field all the time. Those things are not easily replaceable. He was one of the guys that had the first raises for a little while now from ADL. I believe they bumped him up to about $9 million or something like that. So he is the highest paid player of this team. That's how much respect I think ADL has for the guy. And ADL, he is not going to sell. An offer for $30 million came in, rejected immediately. I mean, the stuff didn't even finish sending. Right. And it was rejected immediately. So that goes to show you what we think, or at least what ADL thinks about K2. I think he stays. He has no reason to leave. As far as I don't think he cares much as far as the competitions. Like Vincenzo said, he stayed on Senegal. He didn't go to France. He can go maybe to. I think the only team maybe right now, PSG, to try to pair up with Ramos or something, maybe. But I don't want to see him go there, man. He's loved here. I think he's comfortable. I think he stays as well. I don't think the team's going to change much. Spalletti, like he said, I'm going to chain myself to him or whatever, something along those lines. Spalletti wants him.
It's such a Spalletti quote, by the way. That is freaking vintage Spalletti quote right there.
He wants him. He's made very clear who he wants to keep on his team. And considering COVID and about, I think, 50% now with the stands and all that.
Well, no, Juventus is 50%. Everyone else is 33%. Did you guys see that?
But was that official, though? Because
I don't know.
I read other reports. Yeah, I guess.
I hope the other reports are right because I read today that every team is 33% except Juventus is 50% because their seats are larger or something.
Larger, yeah.
You know what? Maybe that was bullshit and I got duped. I hope it was. And if that was fake news, I fell for it.
It's getting a special treatment to Juve, but no, I hope it's fake too. But either way, I think this is not just any player. Not to mention how difficult it is to find a center back of such quality. You don't just get rid of Koulibaly and then put in somebody else. It doesn't. It's not going to happen. It's a hard thing to replace, and that's why. Based off of that, I think ADL will probably get into the market and Spalletti because it has something to do with it. But I think the team, for the most part, stays more or less the same. The only thing we're going to be selling is those little pieces that we have that went on loan or what's that guy? A few guys that we had loaned out, we'll probably end up selling them. But the core of the team remains the same, and I think Spalletti wants that. And I think ADL don't mind.
Well, let's stay on the Spalletti tip because there are a couple big topics I want to make sure we cover, and one of them is the appointment of Luciano Spalletti. I think that I like it when managers get to take a sabbatical because I think it can really help recharge the batteries and come up with some new ideas. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Spalletti does if he just hits the ground running with Napoli. And obviously, I'm an Inter supporter, so I know Spalletti pretty well. If there are any Roma supporters watching and listening, you know Spalletti certainly very well. He's got a lot of quirks. He's a very eccentric guy. I mean, on the one hand, he deserves a lot of praise for the work that he did stabilizing Inter for 2 seasons. There were certain things tactically that I was a little bit disappointed with in Spalletti, just the overuse of the crosses. But I also recognize, honestly, Spalletti is walking into a better team at Napoli than he walked into at Inter. There's no question in my mind because the depth that Inter currently have on their squad and they had last season, most of that was added in the Conte era after the Spalletti era. So he actually did some wonders with a very thin squad when he was on Inter. So I feel like this Napoli squad is pretty ready-made for him. And so, Vincenzo, I'll start with you on this.
Sure.
Your thoughts on the Spalletti appointment and, how much farther can he take Napoli than what Gattuso was able to do?
Well, Gattuso is a whole other issue because we had the really unfortunate crisis, because I think without that, I think most of us, I know Rafa agrees, he would have finished in the top 4 had that not happened. So, but what's done is done. The marriage has ended in a divorce with Gattuso, so we have no choice but to move on. And I'm an optimistic, positive Napoli fan. I like to get behind the coach no matter what. But I was never, dying for Spalletti. Now that he's the coach, I try and be objective. I think that the 3 objectives that ADL wants is to keep the core of the squad, to lower the wage bill, and to finish in the top 4. So I think Spalletti is happy with the core of the squad. As you're saying, it's one of the best teams he's ever been able to coach. Although your point with Inter, I'm not sure. This is definitely a better squad than he had with Inter, but not necessarily within the context of the league, because all of the teams were not as good if you look at that year. And it was, you know what I mean? And they were touted as being able to fight for the league before both of those seasons started. And in both of them, he only qualified on the last day. But he qualified, and us Napoli fans would have taken qualification on the last day. So I think it's ready-made for him, as far as at least we fit the 4-2-3-1, which he's pretty much always played. I think we suit his tactical system. But like you mentioned, Alex, I wasn't that impressed with his stint at Inter. I thought he was a little bit stale. I thought that the patterns of play were repetitive, always crossing to the wingers and going in. But he may have been hampered by having to cater to Icardi, who's a very one-dimensional, brilliant finisher, but he doesn't have much else to his game, unlike Osimhen, who I think is very underrated in so much as his ability to actually play with the others and bringing people in. I think Osimhen's passing and that is very underrated. People think of him as just a finisher, but we're going to see this year that this guy is a true baller. And I think that with that, Spalletti has a lot more to work with. I hope, like you said, he's had that sabbatical. He comes back. He looks at where he went wrong from a personal point of view, because the only thing that's going to stop this team finishing top 4 is an injury or a personality crisis. I don't see the injury crisis happening 2 years in a row, at least to that extent. And I think we have a better handle on the COVID situation. The league won't be as jam-packed. So I think that he just needs to keep the group psychology healthy and not have silly clashes, as he has had a tendency to do in the past. Keep his ego in check. This is his last chance with such a great squad, and I hope he comes in and we see the Spalletti of old. Maybe even a little bit of the, where he really showed his genius was in his original stint with Roma. So if we can see some flashes of that style of play, I think we can have a very exciting team who's ready to go. And I expect us to finish in the top 4 at the very least, because I think we have, at the worst, the 3rd best squad, if not 2nd best squad in the league.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Manny, you want to jump in on Luciano Spalletti?
No, I mean, listen, last week when I talked about the club, I actually referred to him at his time with Roma. To me, listen, no matter what manager you are, to try to handle that Icardi won the situation. No matter, listen, if you're a coach of Ronaldo, Icardi, not really much of Messi, I guess, but still, when you have those players that have that type of power, it's kind of difficult to actually have a voice for a full, for like a full week per se. So that's plus I think that's why I plus said my time with him, seeing him at Roma, I saw and I kind of witnessed it because I did see them play here when Roma came in that season per se. And then just to see what he can do with these type of guys, with this type of players that, like I think Vincenzo said it best, the style fits the whole tactical way of just playing the game between the 1 minute through the 90, whether you're down 1-0 or you're up 1-0 or you're tied. It just fits. It fits in the way that, like I said, you need Insigne to be there. You need Koulibaly to be there. There's no way that these players that we've talked about for the last 50 minutes or so, they're not a part of this plan with Spalletti. And like I said, Spalletti has, I think, one of the most greatest opportunities to finally not have that pressure of saying, well, I have to rebuild to win, or the pressure of saying I have to win because I have a bunch of ego / one ego, Icardi per se, that I'm going to get basically looked upon. If we don't win, well, I know I'm fired. No, he doesn't have that. He has the full leverage of saying, this is me. This is my notebook. I'm writing the story, and I trust the guys that are on this team wearing this jersey. And I think that's the type of mentality that if you're a Napoli fan, you want going forward. Last year, I can not even imagine what these guys felt not being able to make Champions League by 1 point, man. That listen, I'm a Ralph fan. I've been around.
Don't remind us, please.
Well,
and by the way, I felt like a Napoli supporter that day because I wanted so badly for them to get in and Juventus to be out. So my heart was broken.
Yeah, but it's like I said it before.
They're still outside São Paulo asking Alex, by the way, what's going on?
There you go.
I'm sorry, Manny. Go ahead.
No, you did good. It's clubs like Napoli that don't have that power like a Juve that's saying, well, if we sell somebody for 80, we could bring somebody in for 90. It doesn't happen. You got to be able to work with what you have, and you have to be able to – it's more of a business mentality. It's not like, Napoli is going to get that extra funds per se of a player because it is what it is. And so I think this is such an amazing opportunity, not only for the club, but for Spalletti to actually not regenerate himself, but to actually win. Right? And what story would it be if Napoli doesn't make a top four, man? It's a total catastrophe. Let's be honest. If Insigne stays, Kubali stays, there's no excuses for this team that what we've seen what this manager and other clubs has done, again, not with Inter, no offense, not with Inter, that this team cannot compete against the best in this league. And, man, it's just – I think it's a perfect opportunity for all players involved, especially with Insigne, in which you're coming off a Euro. You're going into a mindset which I know I'm hoping that he's excited to play with a manager like this that's going to open it up for him, that's going to give him the time and space that, that he just saw playing with Italy. And it just fits so well. There's no reason why Napoli should not have a successful season. My successful season is like we've kind of said here, it's to make the Champions League. You need those extra funds, man. You need those extra funds. You want to be able to keep players intact, keep guys that – whether you're from Napoli or whether a guy like Kubali who came in, as Raf said, for only $7 million, but I'm sure he's now in a situation where he has a family, wants to stay stable. And listen, if Napoli fans are badging him for 1 or 2 games, whatever, they obviously don't know soccer. I'm sorry. Listen, there's so many games involved, man. It's more than just Serie A, bro. There's Coppa Italia. There's all a bunch of stuff. But I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for all involved to actually go ahead and compete and win something, because I think that's the main goal, no matter what. And that's why he was brought in.
I'll go to Raf Biz next on Spalletti. Your thoughts on the appointment and what can he do that Gattuso couldn't do for this squad?
Well, I think I'm going to start with something that Vincenzo said earlier about ego. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but the past, between his press conferences and just the way he's addressing the fans, addressing the press, and even how he speaks about ADL, he's kind of treading real lightly. He's not trying to piss anybody off. I think he's being, democratic, if you will, or diplomatic. Not democratic. Diplomatic. He could be a Republican. Who knows? No, but I think he's being a little bit more. He could be. I think he's being a little bit more diplomatic. I don't think he wants the city. He knows. He must know that he needs the city, the fans, on his side. He knows that he can't piss off ADL because ADL don't care. He's like, he'll buy Felicia. He don't care, ADL. And I think he's doing that well. You saw the new trainers that he made that, non devi mollare, sempre con te, all that. He's really trying to play into the fans. He's really trying to gain his approval. And I think he wants to fit in and do his thing. Napoli is one of those places. What I love about Napoli and the city in itself is that you don't bring your ego here. It's going to get checked, and it's going to get checked hard. Manny, take notes. I know you got to be careful with the egos of Napoli because there's somebody who's just as wild that is going to get you back. And I think
it sounds like the fellow Yankee fans.
Right, yeah. You know how it rolls in the Bronx, in the South Bronx. But plus, also, you don't have that Accardi. I don't think we have a team full of egos. I think we have a team full of cool guys that like to play soccer together and have a great time. Look at Mertens. Mertens, ultimate team player. Even Insigne. Osimhen looked like he's having a lot of fun out there. Who else? I mean, the rest of the team is pretty much gelled. Now, as far as like how they're going to come out the gate, I think they'll be okay. Reason being is because Gattuso played that 4-2-3-1 mainly with the team. And we all know, because Spalletti said it, that his base will be the 4-2-3-1. We saw a little 3-4-3 in the exhibition games and all that, but we know he's probably going to start off at that formation. Now, considering the team has played for the past year and a half 4-2-3-1, it shouldn't be much of a transition for them. They should fit right into what he wants to do, and they should be okay. Now, as far as like, we're not going to get crosses into OCM all day long. We're not going to see that like maybe we saw a little bit with Icardi and Inter. We'll see crosses, but I think they're going to be a little bit lower. He also said that he wants to see the team be cheeky. He mentioned that in his first press conference. So we can expect the team to maybe, have these quick little passes on the ground and try to develop plays. There's plenty of people on this team that can score. He needs to utilize everybody. Insigne can score. Lozano can score. Politano can score. Zielinski can score. All these guys can score. So I think for the most part, Spalletti is plug and play. And the fact that he is trying to gain approval for everybody, for whether it be the president, whether it be the team, and whether it be the fans, can kind of give you a signal about where his ego is and how that may not have much of an effect with Napoli. So I think it'll be okay.
What do you think, Rafa?
So I've been really like kind of studying Spalletti lately. I know he has the history with Roma and the long spell with them, and he went to Zenit and won a few titles there and what have you. But I've been really looking at Spalletti since he came back to Serie A. And at first, I wasn't really convinced about Spalletti. I mean, I'll go on and say I was against it. I wanted to keep Gattuso. I thought Gattuso needed a fair season, a fair shake, a normal season, not one that was rushed, not one that was finished, because of COVID with 12 games in the span of like 8 weeks. And I wanted to see him really get a really like a fair shake, like a real mercato, a real season with real fixture lists, And we didn't get to see it, and that sucks. But thank you, Christopher.
What up, Chris?
But you know what? It's done. It's dusted. I'm not hanging on to that Napoli Verona game. I don't care anymore. It's done. So Spalletti, for me, again, I wasn't convinced. I still wasn't convinced after he got appointed. But someone said, look at his strikers in the past with, that Roma team that he came back to, and then Inter. Okay, so he joined. I'm going to delve into some of the history here. He joined Roma in the middle of the season, right? Right in the middle of the season from Rudy Garcia in 2015-16, right? He drew one match. He lost to Juve 1-0, and then he went unbeaten. And he took a team that couldn't buy a win for 10 weeks and got them to the Champions League, 2 points behind Napoli, including a 1-0 Napoli win over Napoli in the 89th with Niangolan. And that was a Sarri Napoli that was like reaching for the title. That was the Higuain season, right? Mm. The season after, he took Roma to second place, 4 points behind Juve. And if I could remember, this was the season that Milik got injured and Mertens went off on a scoring spree. We had four goal scorers with double digits that season. The only team in a top 5 of Europe to do that. But what he did with Roma was he had the leading goal scorer with Edin Dzeko and second in the league in assists in and I forgot who it was. I had it here, but I forgot who it was. Right? Then he went to Inter, okay? And with Inter, Icardi got the Capocannoniere that season, yes. And Handanovic was second in the league with 17 shutouts, and in the net and made the Champions League last day of the season, of course. But in the next season after that, no top scorer, no top assist man, but another 17 clean sheets with Handanovic, and That led the league that season, and another Champions League spot. So he can do it all. Like, the fact that he has Osimhen now, who's going to be fit, who's coming into the season fit, mind you. He came into the season last year after having not played with Lille since March from COVID because they canceled the season, right? So he was rusty at the match rusty. You know what I mean? He had a slow start. Then he got injured with Nigeria. Then he came back and had COVID. Then he had a concussion. And towards the end of the season, Osimhen blew up. You guys know. So you're going to have, okay, a fresh Osimhen who hasn't played in any competitions all summer, who's ready to go, who's gonna be the top scorer of the league. I don't care what anyone says. He will be the top scorer of the league this season. And you have Spalletti, who plays similarly to what Gattuso played. And like everyone else here said, a Spalletti who has a better team now with Napoli than he did with Roma and with Inter in the last, in this past spell here. Now, I really like what you brought up was that his 2-year sabbatical. This guy has probably been sitting back, studying the Italian game, studying to see, what team can I pick? What team can I pick? And we all know ADL, most of us know ADL, as to be a very calculated person, right? He knew Spalletti was going to be the manager in March or April, just the same way as he knew Ancelotti was going to be the manager when he was on the outs with Sarri, okay? So Spalletti knew he was getting this team. I guarantee you Spalletti was studying this team and studying how he plays versus how Gattuso played, how he's going to integrate this team in, and I got a bomber like Victor Osimhen on this team with support from Lozano, Mertens, Insigne, Zielinski, Fabian possibly, a banging defense in Koulibaly and Manolas, a great backup in Ramani. We need help on the left back, yes, but we also have Meret, who's going to be our starter now, and with all the potential in the world. Now, he'll forever be number 2 behind Donnarumma on the national team, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. But Meret is definitely second best keeper, probably now best Italian keeper in the league since Donnarumma's gone. And we will see clean sheets. We will see a lot of goals, and we will see Napoli in 4th place this season. I'm going to say 4th, but I think we could go higher. I think we could.
I agree.
Now, Scudetto? No, I don't think Spalletti's the guy to win the Scudetto unless we make the necessary moves that we have to make. Spalletti can win a Scudetto, but I don't see it happening with the team we have right now. If we don't make any kind of moves, best 4th place.
Jerry, I'll give you the last word on Spalletti. I'm sure you're a huge fan of his after his time spent at Roma, but how much noise do you think he's going to make this season in Napoli? Hold on, you're muted.
You're on mute.
Stay that way, Jerry.
Damn it, you damn Lazio fan.
Keep your mouth shut.
Shut up, idiot. You're on my show, buddy. Actually, our show. Sorry. We hold the fucking rules here. All right? Only Alex can tell me what to do. You understand this?
I don't even try to do that, bro. I stopped telling Jerry what to do a long time ago.
No, but I'm just joking. At that time when he was with manager of Roma, I wasn't even watching football. Didn't have access to like DAZN and all that crap, man.
Hockey then, eh?
I was watching exactly. Hockey was primarily what I really cared about. That's why I never act like someone who knows everything, because I read a lot of books to catch up and understand like players, management, how they were, all that stuff. I started watching I used to watch more when I was in the 90s with my father. Maybe Vincenzo would know more when they used to do the out-of-town scores on the corner. I forget what it was called, though.
Justo del Goal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're
watching on Rai International.
Yeah, like
That's
you'll be
what I would
on
watch with my
scores.
dad, and it'd always go like William Tell, and then you're watching all the goals.
I used to watch half the Lazio games on my phone, checking their scores, because I never had like online access to all that stuff. Like I didn't know like the good sites to find until recently, like past seasons. But In terms of Napoli, I'm going to go based on what I know currently and what I think they can win the Scudetto, first off. I think they have a strong team without doing anything in the transfer market. I think the biggest downfall would hurt them is similar to like Atalanta. If Atalanta sells Christian Romero, they are not a top 4 team anymore.
I thought they did.
It's not official. I have not seen anything official. They turned down. I read that they turned down 50 million from Tottenham, and they want more than 50 million. Good for them. If you can play your cards like that, and you're no need to sell your player, and you can make more than 50 million, you go the Lotito way, and you fucking try to get every single penny for your best player. Do it, because there ain't no desire need to there's no need to sell them. I don't know why they want to sell them in the first place. But let's just compare. Romero goes, Koulibaly goes. All of a sudden, if knock on wood, if that even came up and they sold Koulibaly, this team's no longer a top 4 team for me. It's a big drastic change because your back line has a massive hole to replace. Going back to Atalanta, you take out Romero. They're not even a top 4 team anymore either because that whole back line is so dependent on Romero. I think they're both similar in a situation where, look at last year. They struggled without Koulibaly in the lineup. I know that some of the stats were good where they won a few games, but they lost him in the latter part of the year. Now, you lose him for a whole season. That's kind of hard to replace, man. It's just me, though. I just think that a guy like Koulibaly is so hard to replace because you don't get guys like that. Sure, they get 50 million, say. What are you doing with the 50 million, though? It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to bring a guy in who will replace Koulibaly similar. And that's the same like Lazio, where we've kept Milinkovic-Savic for 5 years now. And you can sell him for 100 million, but what does 100 million really bring you back yet? You don't know if the player you bring in will be equivalent to that player's skill set. I like their chances. I think their roster alone is good. You're going to get a healthy Victor Osimhen, where I don't know why people look at the dollar sign of how much it costs them to get him. Guys, in today's football world, you're not going to get players for 10 million and think that you're going to have a superstar. You have to pay to get a good player. Credit to Napoli last year, where everyone's panicking that they haven't done a move this summer. But let's remember, the last 3 transfer markets, they've been active. They've been the most active team of all Italian teams.
Say it again so the people in the back can hear you.
No, but ADL is still a papone to a lot of people.
He's still a papone, right?
We broke our record every year for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Every season.
I don't think there's a disagreement here. I think we all
we're all
I think the worst thing they can do is sell a player just for the sake of wanting for the fans to make some money to bring in to buy players. No, you don't do that, man. This is a good roster. It's built chemistry. It's been able to play together. There are so many problems last year, and it's not Gattuso's fault last year. Everybody's saying Gattuso, it is an upgrade over Gattuso, but at the same time, you can look at the last game of the season and what happened. And the reactions of the players the next day. You know what, man? They're human. If anything, I would like to see those players next day just move on and not hold on to that as a grudge and think, oh my God, what we lost yesterday. No, in a way it's a positive because you move on. Next year's a new chapter. You can't have these players think about it in the back of their head. Oh, we lost that last game of the season. What happened? They know they should have won the game. They know it was in their hands. They're not stupid. But you don't want a demoralized team going into the next season where they're still thinking about tying Verona. It's not what you want. But in terms of ADL, he's done a great job in the last 3 seasons. Yeah. And you can't ask for more. He's been able to retain Koulibaly. He's been able to retain Insigne. I compare him to Lotito in ways where he's been able to keep his best players. I give him more credit compared to Lotito because he's been able to add players on top of his good players. He's add Victor Osimhen, like I said earlier, where, you know what? He didn't play a full season last year. Let's see what he can do now in a full season under a more – I don't want to disrespect Gattuso, but a more competent manager where he understands the footballing tactics. He knows how to get players to another level, where he's shown at Inter, where he saved the team in a crisis.
Plus, with that extra year under his belt now, where he's more acclimated to the league.
Yeah,
that comes into play.
But
like
even last year, Jerry, he was averaging pretty much a goal a game if you just look at when he played. So I mean,
Played
you can say
amazing.
what you want about the upgrade over Gattuso, but if he scores a goal a game under Spalletti, that would be about the same statistics as this past year. Would just be hopefully that he's healthier.
No,
Right.
absolutely. The scoring will come, but I think that he'll be able to adjust his game, maybe play in different ways, be more
For sure.
like, open,
He's
versatile.
so young.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, I'm not disrespecting Gattuso. I think that Gattuso will be able to get him at a high level as well, but Spalletti is just more tactically smarter. We've seen Gattuso where he gets limited in his style of managing. I don't know. Maybe Alex can piggyback on Spalletti after he knows him better, but like, guys, don't Napoli fans, because I know Napoli fans are listening to this show. Do not panic about Napoli. This is a top 4 team, in my opinion. I
agree.
I think that they are in a better position right now than Juve is heading into the season. For God's sake,
bro.
I don't care, man. They still have. I'm sorry. I know Allegri.
I for sure think that they're in a better position than Inter are. I don't really trust Inzaghi with Inter. I'm not huge on Inzaghi with this team. Obviously Lukaku is great and they have a great team, but selling Hakimi was a big mistake if you ask me. And honestly, I just don't think Inzaghi's the guy that's going to take Inter to another Scudetto or do something in the Champions League. I just don't. I'm sorry, Jerry, because I know you have an emotional tie to Inzaghi, and he was great with Lazio. I just don't know if he's going to do it with Inter. So that's why I said 4th, but possibly 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even 2nd for Napoli. I'm not convinced that we could win a Scudetto with him, but I do. I really do. I mean, listen. You talked about, Napoli and ADL doing well. I mean, other than Juventus winning 9 straight titles, there's been no other consistent team in Italy than Napoli. Well, I don't care if it's in the era of suck-ass teams and now everything's getting good. We've finished top 5 in 11 straight seasons now. No, but besides
top
one
3.
season. But top 3, yeah. But
it's 7 out of 10 years. Top 3.
But at least top 5 in all 11 besides one, which was 7th place, but we won Coppa Italia to get to Europe. So we finished in Europe. We have the most consecutive seasons finishing in Europe in Italy, even more than Juve, because our European ventures started before Juve won their Scudetto for the first of the 9. So anybody could slag off on ADL all they want, but even at 80 million, Osimhen was a good purchase because 5 years from now, we can sell him for 200 million. You know what I mean? And that's how he works. He buys and he sells. It's fine. But nobody can really, downplay Napoli's transfer strategy. They've been able to make superstars out of nobody, and they've been able to capture, a random star here and there too. It's just got to come together. And, first things first, we got to get back to the Champions League. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset by me saying, let's not focus on winning the Scudetto first. Let's focus on at least getting back to the Champions League, because we have to build from here. We have to build Spalletti's team from this season forward. And to not make the Champions League 3 in a row, I've said this since we didn't make it, in COVID season.
Said it on the rant. I remember.
Once I can live with. Twice pushing it. 3 is a disaster. So we have to make the Champions League this season. I know everyone wants to win the Scudetto. Everybody wants the title. I get it. We all do. Everybody here wants to win a Scudetto. But
I want to go around the table on one more thing before we got to wrap it up, and it's something we've all been hinting at here. So I want to close it out with everybody's predictions on top 4. And if for whatever reason anybody doesn't have Napoli in the top 4, let me know where you see them finishing. I'll go through mine quickly, guys. Hate to say it, but I do think Juventus are going to get back to the top of the league. And I say that with respect to Max Allegri. I think he's going to make a huge difference. I think the upgrade of going from Pirlo, who was in way over his head, drowning last season, really had no business, coaching the Juventus first team as his first managerial job. It wasn't fair to him. So I think Allegri is going to make a gigantic difference. I see Juventus winning the league. I do see Inter finishing second. With respect to everything that Rafa said, obviously I do have certain question marks about Inzaghi, but I do think it helps him that he's walking into a team that's built to play his formation in a 3-5-2. I think that's going to be helpful to him. Losing Hakimi does hurt. Anybody who listens to my daily doses of Inter knows how depressed I've been over losing Hakimi. It's something I'm going to be back in therapy for very soon. But if it is, and there's a lot to come left in the transfer market, but if he really is the only major outgoing, and it also depends on who they quote unquote replace him with or who the next right wing back is. But I am going to conditionally have Inter finishing second. I do have Napoli finishing third. I'm drinking the Napoli Kool-Aid to an extent. I'm not thinking Scudetto, but I'm thinking a solid top 4 finish. And then I think I have Milan squeaking into fourth with Lazio a close fifth, and maybe Roma 19th or 20th. I thought I could make Jerry happy with that comment. So yeah, so my top 4 is going to be Juventus, Inter, Napoli, and Milan. And Milan probably like squeaking in final match day in dramatic fashion into top 4. So I'll go around the table on people's top 4 predictions. What do you think, Vincenzo?
Well, the top 3, I think, are going to be Juventus in first, and then Inter or Napoli second and third. That's what I think. It could go either way. I do think that Inzaghi, you could have done worse. If Conte was going to leave, there would have been a lot worse appointments. However, my only worry about Inzaghi at Inter is he Conte light? Do the players see him as a Diet Coke of Conte? And if that is the case, then I could see more of a drop off, to do with Conte than Hakimi. To be honest, I think Conte is the bigger loss than anything. And then that fourth spot is I can argue for Roma, Lazio, Milan, or Atalanta. I can really make an argument for all of them. Historically speaking, you got to favor Atalanta right now.
Oh, Jesus. How did I forget to put that? That makes it tougher. You know what? I didn't mention Atalanta. Sorry, Milan. I've got Atalanta fourth. I'm changing my vote. I've got Juventus, Inter, Napoli, Atalanta, Milan fifth. Sorry.
Yeah, my thinking is I do think that Mourinho is going to do better at Roma than a lot of people think, but getting them to fourth is going to be tough. It depends on if they make signings. If with the squad right now, I don't think he can get them to fourth.
No, and they lost
Locatelli. Pardon? Spinazzola.
Yeah.
Right, but they have Zaniolo coming back. If they sign a striker like an Icardi, then I could see them pushing for fourth at the most. That would be their ceiling. Lazio, again, I think Sarri is an upgrade, but the only problem is it's going to take some time to adjust from a counter-attacking 3-5-2 to a possession-based 4-3-3. And although I'm not an Immobile hater, I don't think that Sarri's system of play is the best for him to flourish. So it's tight, but I'm going to favor Atalanta. So I'm going to say Juve, Napoli, Inter, Atalanta, my top 4.
What do you think? Well, let's go to Rafa Rispo first. What do you think?
Unfortunately, Juventus is going to win the Scudetto.
Yeah.
It's the Max Allegri factor. That's who I wanted on, as a manager. There was a lot of talk of Allegri coming in.
Me too.
I wanted him big time. So because of that, and Ronaldo's Ronaldo, you know what I mean? And they have Chiesa. And you have Bonucci and Chiellini coming back from the high of the Euros. Like I don't know. I just feel like it's in the cards. I hope I'm wrong. But I will go Juve 1. I'm gonna give Inter the benefit of the doubt and say Inter 2 because of what you said about the 3-5-2, Alex. I think that's a really smart prediction. Even though I just kind of said that I think Inzaghi isn't going to take Inter. You know, I mean, he's not going to win the Scudetto, I don't think. But, you know, 2, I think, is respectable. Second. I think he'll get them out of the Champions League group stage for the first time in 3 years. I mean, that would be
I agree.
something, right?
They're going to be at first pot, which is going to help.
Absolutely. Third, I'll go Napoli. I can say Napoli confidently in third place, I think. Might be a distant third, but it'll be a third place finish. Fourth, I don't know. I'm waiting for the spoke on the wheel to fall off for the Atalanta train, dude. I don't think at some point Atalanta's got to come back down to reality. I don't see it happening forever. So I'm going to say Lazio, and here's why. Because I think from what I've seen in some preseason highlights, they're already getting it. I think that now, mind you, I can no longer stand Sarri anymore. I can't deal with him anymore. But he's not a bad manager. If his team stays healthy and they get on the right track, they can finish top 4. You know what I mean? The problem with Sarri is, Jerry, he has no plan B. He has no plan B. If you get a major injury, you're screwed. If you're down in a match, you might be screwed. He does plug and play substitutions like you'd never believe. Like
if he does substitute,
his bench is going to be the most.
He's going to
have the most.
now.
He's going to have the most. He's going to have the most pissed off bench you'll ever want to. Dude, it's just the way he operates. But if Lazio stay healthy, I see them going to 4th. So I'll go Lazio or I don't have high hopes for Milan. So I'll go Lazio or Atalanta.
Well, since Rafa brought up Lazio, I'll go to Jerry next. Jerry, what's your top 4 prediction, and where do you see Napoli in that mix?
Here's a problem. How many more weeks are left in the transfer market?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about another month, right?
It's another 6 weeks. I'm going to go with Inter is going to win the Scudetto because I'm going to do what everyone should be doing with Inter, what they do with Juventus for the last 9 years. You respect the champions. You respect the people who won the Scudetto with that team. Think about if that was Juventus who won the Scudetto last year. Everyone would be like, oh, Scudetto's good. Juventus 11 straight.
No, you make a good point.
I'm going to respect Inter because they are the champions, not because it's Simone Inzaghi. That's how I look at it. He's taking over the winning team. But you guys said only one change. Do I think that Inter can win it again? Absolutely. I absolutely think they have it. I'm just concerned about the wing-back position because it's a massive downgrade versus what Lazio has. Where let's just compare. If Lazio was playing a 3-5-2 and Inter is playing a 3-5-2 and they're playing against each other, all of a sudden Lazio's got the advantage. You got Maricic on the left. You got Lazzari on the right. I think that those two.
Got Maricic, we got Perisic.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that without Hakimi, Lazio would have the upper hand on the wing-back position.
Is DiMarco with Inter now? I think he
could end up being, yeah, I think it's going to be DiMarco and Perisic. One of the two. I think they'll both get a lot of playing time. I think that's going to be the top 2.
I'm just curious to see how he manages the wing-back position. And like Rafa said, Sarri is actually similar to Inzaghi in a way, where they both don't substitute their lineups. They stick with the same 11, and that's it. That is so Inzaghi, where he doesn't. Then again, Inzaghi's never had the depth to rely on changes. He did it more this year. Maybe he knew that he was out the door and started experimenting. I don't know. I'm curious to see what he does with Inter. Does he make the bold decision to take off Lukaku in games and go with the plan B off the bench since they got better options than what Lazio did? This is where we're going to see the true colors of Inzaghi. What does he do now with a full squad at his disposal? At a team who may be spending some money this summer in order to kind of help him in certain areas if they make another sale. Who knows? I'm just going hypothetically, guys. I'm going to go with Inter first. I will go with Juventus second. And I'm curious to see with Allegri off for a season, how he comes back and approaches this Juventus squad. And guys, don't forget, Juventus didn't fix this midfield. this midfield is still a piece of trash. So as good as Allegri is, he's not the guy. What's he gonna do? Go on the field and
Is
play?
Locatelli gonna come though? Like
That's the question. Who's to say he's coming?
I think he ends up getting there. I think they're doing this mafia shit where that's the only team he wants to go to, so they have all the leverage, and they're gonna, final week of the transfer window, they're gonna make. I think he's gonna go there because the will of the player is so important with that stuff. And so
Alex,
I think that's going to end up being the deciding factor.
It's Sassuolo. Juventus get what they want
that's
from
their
Sassuolo.
B team. Yeah,
that's it.
Well, who's to say he even gets sold? Maybe Sassuolo holds him for a year and they sell him next summer. This is the year
to sell. Yeah. Rather, he had the breakout. Absolutely. He had the breakout at the Euro. This is the time to sell.
True. Yeah. Well, we'll see. No, it's fine, man. Don't bother me.
Because Sassuolo is not going to risk, after watching what he did in the Euros, to say, well, if he has a bad season, there's no way his value even stays to what it is right now. I doubt a club like that will wait.
I don't know, man. If it's dragging on a long time, I don't know. You know what? I tell you guys.
Hey, Jerry, have you ever been a fan of a club with a freaking president that in 1 second could tell you he's not going anywhere, and in the final hour for the final deadline he goes, oh yeah, we got the player, and then in 12:05 a.m., oh no, wait a minute, UEFA saying that the fax return or whatever, it didn't go through. Well, hello, Real Madrid and freaking Florentino Perez, dude. Like, trust me, like
Manny, that actually happened with Napoli and Sassuolo for Politano. Before, I mean, obviously we ended up landing Politano through Inter, but we sent the fax, and the fax didn't go through, and we missed out on Politano when he was with Sassuolo, and he ended up going to Inter in the next transfer window, and that's how we got him through Inter. But the same exact thing happened to us. Welcome to the same thing at Napoli.
I don't know.
Jerry, did you finish your top four?
Madrid, it was
no. I love how Jerry talked for like 15 minutes and he didn't get past number 2 of the top 4.
Hey man, I can keep going. Because I don't go with the trend. I go against the trend. That's why I go against Juventus. Like last year I made a top 4 with Inter finishing first. I literally went on my timeline and switched just the top 2 to Juventus first, just to mush them, and it ultimately did it.
Do that again. Like I don't want you mushing Inter. Take Inter out of your top spot. Please.
I will always put Juventus first, just to mush them. But like, you guys, the midfield hasn't been upgraded. Artur hurts. He's not going to be playing till November. Like there are question marks in this team, man. Like they haven't done anything at all. It's the same team that struggled under Pioli. Well, who's to say it's going to get better under Allegri? Ramsey sucks. We know that.
But Jerry, just subbing Allegri for Pirlo, I hate to say it. No, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But that's 10, 12 points right there, in my opinion.
Dybala's already hurt in preseason. Like, imagine this guy can't go. That's a signal, man. I'm sorry.
Allegri knows how to win. Allegri knows how to win. He's in a comfortable environment. He might not get top spot, but I think there will be a huge jump, even if they don't sign anyone but Locatelli. And he'll play a front 3 of Dybala, Ronaldo, Chiesa.
And Chiesa is going to have an even more monster season than he had last year. I think. He's going to be tremendous.
Kulusevski is going to have a bad season again because he's not going to be playing in his natural position. That's going to hurt him. I'm just curious. I agree that Allegri is a top manager. Absolutely. But I'm really curious to see what he does with this fucking dumpster squad. I think this team's so overrated. I'm sorry, man. Like there are certain key players are great. De Ligt is great. Chiesa is outstanding. Like I just think that midfield is really going to hurt them, and I can't believe they're going to go through another summer not addressing their biggest need. Like I'm curious to see how he handles that. And third, I'm going to go with Napoli because I would contradict myself if I didn't even say Napoli. I honestly think Napoli can finish first. I think in so many ways they're better, but we can all say that down the road or whatever. And fourth, I don't know. I think personally Milan has taken a few steps back, even though they spent $60 million. They have done the signings they had to continue to keep those young players. I don't think they've done it. I don't think their transfer market has been bad. It's been a good transfer market where they've been able to sign the players they have to. The problem is that they're not spending money up and beyond to now add to the team, and that has to come with the second Champions League.
Right.
Like, you don't just go earn one Champions League and think that everything's all saved. It doesn't work like that. It takes consecutive Champions League, and I think they're going to struggle. I think Lazio may get the 4th spot. I don't see Roma. I see Atalanta maybe. I'm going to put asterisk on Atalanta. If they sell Romero, top 4 is done. Absolutely, top 4 is done. Like, it's out of the equation. Who that back line? Who do you depend on? Toloi and Gin City and who else? Like that other big bum they have in the back end. I forgot his name. He's so bad.
Jerry, they've consistently been able to sell their best players, and it's like rinse and repeat. Somehow, somehow he makes it work. And
no, you're right.
You have Muriel and Zapata still up top. Anyway.
I just think that last season, Romero was like they found something to replace that back line and make it better and make the team better. You take out Romero, and I credit Nima on his pod. He said it perfectly. Like, you take Romero out, what does that back line have though? Like they're a bad defensive team. They can't keep goals out of the net. Without Romero, I just don't know what this team is. I agree with him. Yeah, you got that offensive line. That's great. You have that midfield. Great. You have the wing backs. Great. But now all of a sudden, you finally have a defense that has something that I can rely on. Can you imagine if Lazio got rid of Cherby today? What would they be like? Massive downgrade in that back end. Yeah. Massive hole now. Massive. Same situation. Defense, you have that key guy in that back line that leads the line. And Romero's still young, but he's flourished under Romero. Under Gasperini. And I think if he gets sold to Tottenham, he's nowhere near the same player he was at the Atalanta. Massive, significant drop-off because he fits around a Gasperini. He's a Gasperini type player, but he's able to play that way. It's still early. I'll go with Lazio just because, like what you guys said, they're building something good there. Yeah, I know I've been rambling for a long time, but this whole Juventus thing's got me going, man. And
you know what? I swear Jerry does this on purpose, where he's more talkative in the back 9 than the front 9 because he loves trolling me because I go to bed at 10:30 and Jerry makes sure that we go to 10:45, 10:50. He always sticks it to me.
Hold on, I want to add something.
Because I'm a freaking loser who goes to bed even on weekends. Sometimes I go to bed at 10:30.
I just want to add something quickly.
Oh God,
it'll be quick. I always mad that Inzaghi left Lazio at the beginning. Because I saw somebody mention, I think it was Gerald, but you know what? At the beginning, I was really depressed that Inzaghi left. But now that you said it perfect, Vincenzo, you got a guy like Sarri who comes in, but you need change. And after 5 seasons, it ran out where he ran out of ideas to help this team. It's just sad that Lotito is spending money in spite because of the way Inzaghi left. But whatever works, man, to get
whatever gets them spending, right?
Fuck.
I'll go to Raf Biz next. Your prediction for top 4. And by the way, for those in the chat who are asking about relegation, I do want to go through that in a later episode, closer to the season, because I just thought top 4 would just be more intriguing, earlier on before the season starts. So we will get to that in an upcoming episode, I promise. But Raf, what do you think for your top 4, and where do you see Napoli?
This is super tough question because considering what happened last year when places 2 through 5 literally came down to the last game of the season, I think we're going to see something similar next season. I think you're going to have 7 teams gunning for 4 spots, and it's going to come down to who can beat who. Now, I'll say this much. I'm not sure who's going to be. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I'm not sure. I'm really I don't know who to pick. I think Lazio is going to be a dark horse next year. If Sarri can get that team to do what he wants and they can stay healthy and they click, Sarri can lend a lot of confidence to a player and can take that player to another level. I mean, we saw it in the practice when he who was it, Jerry, when he defended somebody to
Muriqi.
Muriqi.
Yeah.
Right. That's Sarri. he went to Higuain and said, "Hey, if you play, we win," and that's exactly what Higuain did. And we didn't win at all, but we did pretty damn well. Top 4. I'm not too impressed with. I'm not too crazy about Milan right now either. I'll give Lazio 4th because based on if Sarri can come in and do the job. I'll give Napoli 3rd because I think they want it bad, and I think their president and their coach is going to light that fire. They're going to make him get one of those spots. So I think we'll see Napoli up in there. And I want to give Inter another spot. I like Lukaku. Outside of like Napoli, Lukaku is definitely one of my favorite strikers, and I think he can score more goals for this team, and that could be a difference maker. When you need a goal here or a goal there to snatch some points. Juve maybe, but there's also Atalanta. I don't want to pick Juve first. I'll give. Fuck them. Fuck Juve. Honestly,
I love it, man.
I'm so sick of them. I'm tired of Juve with the first place.
This fucking train.
So fucking give it to Inter. I don't care.
All right.
But
2 in a row.
But let's do Inter. Let's do what was the other one? I'll give you Inter, Juve, fine. Napoli 3. Although I think Napoli can finish second if they all come together.
I was going to say the
and
same thing, Ralph.
I think they can finish first. I didn't want to jinx it.
It's possible. We hate. How the superstition is amongst Napoli fans, so we don't say that. But honestly, just to give give the top 4, it would be along those lines. But really, I don't think anybody really knows what the top 4 is going to, let alone the top 5, top 6. It's tough. So let's do Inter, Juve, Napoli, and I'll give Atalanta a chance.
I like
it. Or
Lazio.
Yeah.
I'll give Manny the last word. And Manny, isn't it funny as you and I are both in Miami, and Manny is even part of a supporters club for Inter Miami, so he goes to every game. When you hear these Napoli supporters talk about how great Gonzalo Higuain was at Napoli in 2016, the 36 goals, the guy was fucking incredible. And now Gonzalo Higuain in Major League Soccer, this guy shows up and thinks he can play with a cigarette in his mouth, it's America, and he's having a tough time, Manny. So when you hear these guys talking about Higuain, how does that make you feel? And then you can get into your prediction for top 4 as well.
It hurts because even the Argentinians that we have in our supporters group just bash the shit out of them, which I think they actually should. But me, I still think that the minute you had a family tragedy, man, it plays with you, dude. But of course, you look at his brother. His brother looks like he's twice his age, but his brother is actually sliding for the ball. He's creating chances.
His 50-year-old brother is playing better.
Gonzalo Higuain tries to make a run one-on-one, and what's the first thing he does? Changes from one side to another, trying to create that long ball. And I'm like, the man literally can't run any more than probably 20 to 25 yards max speed without getting caught up. So once again, yesterday he had a 1-0 lead, and he decides to lollygag his ass back to midfield. And the center back that he was with, the center back goes forward. He doesn't follow him. He's like, well, I'm going to stay here at midfield, try to see if I can get me against the goalie type of scenario, like a Fernando Torres type of thing. And that center back is the one that creates the pass in, and obviously the Union scored to tie it up. But enough of Gonzalo Higuain, man. Listen, his father was very nice to us after the game, and that's the guy that we would want on the field. All right, so let's go to the Serie A. I see this more as a game of chess, not checkers, and the many wonders that Jerry does to my mind. I wanted to pick Juventus first, man, but he made me realize something. Never underestimate the heart of a champion. Never underestimate defending champions. And yes, while you may have a new leader on board, it's basically the same players in there, and I think they're the ones that are going to have most of the same. For that reason, I can't predict 1 through 4, but I think it's going to be between Juventus and Inter for the Scudetto, followed by Napoli versus Napoli, maybe AC Milan, maybe Lazio for 2. And then for the 3rd and 4th spot, to me, it's too many teams. It could be Lazio, it could be it
competitive
could be
league this year.
Huh?
I think it's going to be a very competitive league.
Very competitive, man.
It's something that I think if you're a
All these
soccer
teams are
fan,
poor.
not a fan of Serie A, it should excite you because the 1 and 2, you can probably say Inter finally broke from that Juventus winning all the damn time, dude. And to me, that's what gives it such more exciting spot to it. And that's why, again, when Jerry said it, you never underestimate a defending champion. Yes, like I said, you have a new leader, but the team is particularly the same. What I think hurts AC Milan is Donnarumma. I understand all these things that a goalie's not important. Listen, I played goalie for such a long time when I was younger. A goalie can stop 1 or 2 goals a game.
Mm-hmm.
You can score 5 or 6, but if you give up 7 or 8, those are crucial points that you're not going to get back. And I think that's what AC Milan is going to be hurting, which that's why even though I put them in that battle with second, they might drop. Who knows? And I got to give Lazio, listen, their respect as well with Sarri. Sarri, I think he's learned from his times at Napoli, and he's learned from his catastrophe time with Juventus, I want to say, because to me, still, the goal there was to win the Champions League. It wasn't the Scudetto. It was to win the Champions League, and they failed. So, like I said, I see at position 1, I can name 1 through 4, man. But to me, it's Juventus versus Inter. 2, it could be Napoli versus Lazio. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, to me, it's just a game of chess and checkers. And I think what Jerry also mentioned earlier, does Atalanta sell the key players that they have, or do they stay the same? This might be their final year where they have the element of surprise. But going forward, I don't think it's going to happen like that. So that's my thing. Let's move on. I think once the season turns into mid-tables, I could probably see more of a clear picture. But like I said, right now to me, it's Juventus and Inter. And I think it's just a crapshoot going 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8. Who knows, right? It's a crapshoot. It's who can stay healthy, who has the right tactic to game in and game out, and who can get the most points. I think that's the whole thing. If Juventus is up by 20, if Juventus is up by 10 points, maybe after I want to say maybe 11, 12 fixtures, then I can probably say, well, no offense, with the firepower they have up front, no matter what fucking midfield they have, which I do agree, their midfield to me is just as bad as Inter Miami. One of those things. Then I could see Juventus winning it. But to me, this league, man, if you're not into soccer, this is definitely a time of year for you to actually watch this league, man, because it's going to be competitive, hopefully, if Juventus doesn't run away with it.
Alex.
Yeah.
I want to add something about Sarri, and it was about his press conference, which was really interesting. If anybody actually took the time to read about his answers, but the one thing that really kind of caught my attention as well was when they won the Scudetto with Juventus, they didn't go out to celebrate. All the players went separate ways. And it really opened up his eyes of how when they won the Scudetto, they just thought that because they were so good and won 9 years in a row, there was nothing. They would just win next year. And Sarri's like, why aren't we celebrating a Scudetto that we just earned? And we're fortunate to win this season. Like he sees in that experience there where he didn't expect to get fired. He regrets leaving Chelsea because Chelsea didn't want him to leave. And they wanted him to stay there. These are things that you take a year off and he's at home thinking, well, I just got fired by Juventus. I had the best job possibly. He knows. Didn't expect that he was going to be given the axe. And prior to that was thinking, why didn't I stay with Chelsea in the first place? A team that I've won a Europa League. Not like he didn't win there. He could have probably won with that team the next year if he stayed. Who knows how the transfer market would have gone? Who knows? I just think that Sarri's the kind of guy where I'm kind of seeing that maybe he learned from his past seasons. He's trying Raul 17 years old in training, where he's using him reluctantly. He brought Luca Romero, 17 years old, on and trying him out. Like these are things that maybe Sarri didn't do in the past, or he's adjusting to. I think certain people will adjust based on their experiences and what they went through. Maybe he went to Lazio and that whole meeting he had with Lotito, which was a very long meeting before he signed. Maybe the meeting with Lotito and Tade kind of opened his eyes to taking a different approach. Maybe he sees that, okay, he's not managing a Juventus where he has that $1 billion wage line, where the $1 million where he can spend so much, and he has to alter and change the way he manages. I'm just saying, maybe joining a team like Lazio will alter the way he manages and the way he approaches, because it's not a big market team like Chelsea, Juventus, and maybe even Napoli at the time when he was there, or maybe not. Napoli wasn't there yet, but again, I'm just saying, like, these are things that can change you, right, as an individual. So I could be wrong though.
Well, with Napoli, he finished in Champions League all 3 seasons. No one else has ever done that.
True.
He goes to Chelsea. Everybody thinks he's doing so poorly. Well, at Chelsea, meanwhile, he finished in 3rd place. Got to a cup final and then won the Europa League.
Yeah.
So he really didn't do that bad. And then
Rafa, Kepa was the real manager that season. Come on.
Kepa was the real manager. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I really felt so bad for Saudi.
Same here.
Dude, I did. He got abused.
I mean, listen, it's just like I said, Sarri wasn't what everybody, I guess mostly Juve fans, because we all know why he was brought in, why Ronaldo was brought in. But the amount of criticism that he got, let's be honest here, he's not the one on the field. And yet this team had so much pressure on top of him before he even arrived. And I feel like if I think Lazio is such in a great position to become his next club, because he's had that time off. Listen, we're all human beings, man. Sometimes at some point, the job you thought you really wanted and you got there was just, you weren't able to be you. You weren't able to put your, it's like
I knew from the beginning that Saudi and Juve wouldn't. I called that they'd win a Scudetto because Juve won 8 in a row at that point,
right?
And I could manage Juventus Scudetto with Ronaldo on it, especially. You know what I mean? I knew it. If you go back to my Far From Vesuvius podcasts when he was appointed manager of Juventus, I called it that this would not last for a long time, that him and Ronaldo would clash, that if something happens, it's him that's gone, not Ronaldo.
Right.
I said, I just don't see Sarri's ball at Juventus, and we really didn't see that. You know what I mean? They did enough to win the Scudetto. Had it not been for COVID, Lazio might have won the Scudetto. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But be it as it may, he won the Scudetto. But it's not enough. It was not enough, and that partnership was doomed from the start. From the start. So you're getting a Saudi who needs to show that redemption, Jerry. You know what I'm saying? That redemption is going to be there. He will. I mean, I'll go and stamp 4th place to Lazio. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah. I think I'm going to give Lazio.
Don't underestimate this ball.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate these. With a little less pressure on him, Sadi's low key. Remember, he's just a dude. Like before he coached Napoli, he was coaching like a the local kitty team. Yeah.
But he coached Empoli to 8th place. He coached Empoli to the highest in the table ever. He knows what he's doing. He's just got to. Everyone's got to be. That's the thing, is everyone's got to be on the same page. He will never have another team like he did at Napoli. He won't.
Yeah.
That he struck gold with that Napoli team in the 91 points. He struck gold, and he'll never have that again. But he is good enough to finish in the top 4. I do believe this season.
I want to go around the table before we wrap it up. Give everyone a chance to promote your social media handles and anything you're working on, any projects. Vincenzo, we'll start with you, my friend. Thank you so much for making your first appearance on the show. Where can people find you?
It's such an honor. You can find me on Twitter at Vinbertillo. So VIN. My last name is BERTILLO. And that's it. Reach me. I'm pretty friendly. You can talk to me anytime, whoever you are. And as long as you don't talk shit about Napoli,
he has to be friendly.
And that's it. Thank you again. It's a real honor to be here.
Oh, it's our pleasure, man. You were awesome. We'll go to both the Rafs. Let's start with Raf Biz, my friend. Where can people find you?
Well, Twitter as well. At Raf_Biz on Twitter. I also run the Calcio Napoli Club USA. We're on Facebook mainly, to how we chat. And then of course the Raf and Raf rant. Catch us on YouTube. On Twitter, we're at Raf Rant. We're on Instagram as well. We usually go on Mondays. In the summer, it's been a little bit slower lately. We're taking kind of a break and things, taking care of personal lives and all that good stuff. But super, super excited for next season. And we, just getting better and better. And me and Rafa have a great time. And we invite everybody. You don't have to be Napoli Don. We have tons of people that come in there. So check us out there.
Let's go from Raf to Raf. Rafa, where do people find you?
At Raffanopoli83 on Twitter. Also, Far from Vesuvius. We're trying to revamp that, going around too.
Awesome.
You can find our audio only pods of the Raf and Raf rant on Far from Vesuvius Network. We're also going to start a Twitch channel with Far from Vesuvius very soon. We were supposed to do it twice. It hasn't happened yet. But also very soon, I'm going to be releasing episode 1988-89 part 2 of the Maradona era chronicles that we recorded.
Awesome.
Yeah, we recorded it a while ago and I haven't had a chance to put it out, but we're ready to release that and then record 89-90, the second Scudetto, which doing some research we realized is Maradona's greatest season with Napoli of all time. Like, I can't wait to talk to Frank about it. Frank's sidekick, my partner. That's coming up soon. But like Ralphie said too, I mean, we're devoting most of our time to Ralph, the Ralph and Ralph rant, and we love servicing the Napoli community, and just kind of shooting the shit, man. Just nothing too technical.
Yeah.
Just get on there and rant. That's exactly what it's called, the rant.
Yeah.
So follow me and let's chat.
I love it. What about you, Manny? Where can people find you?
You can find me on my Twitter down there at MannyC17_. Also, you can find me on 5 Reasons Sports Network on YouTube. I do a lot of shows for everybody from all sports here in South Florida. Little bit of everything. You can ask me anything on Twitter. I like talking soccer, mostly per se, except for the Olympic soccer. That to me, when I wake up, I know everything already, so I don't really care. Whatever the case is. I mean, listen, after the Euros and Copa America, you can't convince me that Olympic soccer has my blood boiling at 3 a.m. No, I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, there you go.
And Jerry, I know you're always keeping busy outside of everything we do here.
Jerry,
on the
stop tweeting Lazio pictures.
He's looking at Chiro porn right now.
No, he's finding a picture of Immobile. Good night, Johnny.
I'm trying to decode this message from Akbar. Magnan, unlike Donnarumma, achieved something. He won championship with record clean sheet in 5 league. Did you forget that Donnarumma?
He just won the fucking Euros.
He
made 2 penalty saves.
He had
What
3 saves.
What is this guy talking about?
Just
Three
won
saves
2
in the Euro
straight penalty
final,
kick
you
shootouts
damn
in the
idiot.
European Cup. That's never happened before.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man! Don't.
God forbid you
I
suggest
like-
Milan might drop off.
I like Magnan, but he's no Donnarumma. No, come on.
No, absolutely
No, man.
not. And Donnarumma's so damn young, man. That man's gonna be there for almost 20 years.
Right, guy got another 20 years, right? He's already been in the league 20 years. He got another 20.
I kind of like this guy. I kind of like this guy Akbar in the chat because he's triggering everybody. He's triggered me already because I see him in the chat saying Inter are going to be mid-table.
Who's the guy even fucking like?
He said Lazio are finishing. I think he said Lazio are going to get relegated and
11?
Napoli are finishing 11th. So this guy's triggering everybody.
He's a Milan fan. He's a Milan
You
fan.
went from Adidas to Puma, bro. Get out of here.
I think he smoked the weed from before with those guys, huh?
He misspelled Giroud, but he says we have Giroud on the bench. Don't worry.
The guy who scored no goals in the World Cup.
Wait till those 2 guys get fucking injured in the first 4 games. Shit.
Their combined age of their strikers is over 100.
Yo, seriously.
I would say this though, guys. With Inter winning the Scudetto, nothing hurts AC Milan fans more than knowing that now they have to somehow they have to win something soon. Because that's going to stay on top of them forever, as long as it can be. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Anyways, yeah, you can find me at JMancini8. I'm done. I am fucking done, man. I am so fucking done. You know where you can find me.
Don't let it get to you, Jerry. Come on.
Walk off the screen, Jerry. Love you.
Worst coach in the top 7. It is what it is.
So yeah, make sure you follow everybody on the panel. You guys can follow me at Alex Donno. You can check, of course, in addition to everything we do here on the Calcio Connection. I figure if you're here, you probably know how to find us here on this particular network. You can find me doing a lot of work on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We're launching a new daily show. It's going to be a lot of South Florida stuff, but a lot of national, international stuff as well on the 5 Reasons YouTube. Manny works with me there, so he does a tremendous job. So we will catch you guys again on the next episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.